Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first Epic Life, INFJ Epic Life workshop of this year. So first and foremost, please let me know if you can see me, if you have any trouble with the video, because I'm thinking it might be lagging a little bit. So I might change the camera. So let's just make sure that we have everything in order when it comes to just technical stuff. Yeah, so just give me some feedback if you have any lag or if the video and the sound is okay. Just a couple of things. So the workshop will be 1 hour approximately. We will go through a lot of content. I will give you some information in the beginning just so you can, find a way to interpret everything we're talking about. No lag, all good. Okay, great. So it seems like it has synced up by now. If we have any kind of trouble, if the video should break off or anything like this, since this is a public live stream, just just update the page, and I will start like a new live, so everybody should be okay. I have a loop, little lag. I made it myself. Okay. For a couple of people, it's lagging. Let me see if I can fix it a little bit. It won't take long. Just so we see if we can optimize it. Okay. Okay. So this quality isn't so good, but it shouldn't be lagging so much now. Okay. 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 Okay, great. So just to give you some background, I've been doing this it's still lagging. Okay, guys, I'm switching to another camera. This shouldn't really be this shouldn't really be the problem, hopefully. So let's see. Okay. Okay, we're just starting. I'm going to start a new video with my original camera, so we won't have this problem. So just update the screen and should be fine. Okay. Oh, let me just try this again. Hold on. Okay. So. So we will have to work with this. Hopefully it'll get better, and then we won't have this problem anymore. If it's, if we say it's not working at all, then we will do it with something else. I just wanted to try a new camera that's supposed to be better, but I guess the internet connection isn't fast enough. So I've been doing this for 7 years. And for the last 3.5 years, this has been my main occupation. I was able to quit my job, and I did this using the 5 pillars. And so therefore, I have learned, not just for myself, but also with all the INFJs that I've worked with, what will make the difference. And this is the 5th bootcamp round. So I, through experience, working with so many INFJs, I've learned what works and what doesn't, and what we can use to really create an INFJ epic life. So I wanted to share that with you and, really get started. Hi. So, okay. That being said, so we work with the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars are based on physical energy management, relationship management, wealth management, vocation, and priority management. You might have heard me talk about them in a couple of videos. And it's because this is the basis that really changed my life. It changed the life of so many of my clients. And as I said, this is the 5th bootcamp round. And once you're in the bootcamp, you can, get access to all the future ones. And we have people coming back over and over again. We have a community around it. So we always encourage each other, but through that experience that people are coming back and it's always growing and more people are signing up, I see that it has such a huge impact. And just so you know, for the ones of you who joined the bootcamp now, so within this hour, you enter to win one private coaching session with me as well. So, but that being said, I don't want you to feel like, okay, today we're just going to talk about bootcamp. I want to give you more of the 5 pillars that you can use now, even if you say, I'm not at a point where I want to join the bootcamp. By the way, this time around, for the first time, we have payment plans, and there's an early bird price now for like 48 hours. So there's perfectly, I've made it as easy and accessible to everybody because I have learned how beneficial it can be. And it's not just about, creating wealth or living out your vocation. It's all of that. I recognized for the longest time that everything looked great on paper, but it's not how I felt. I felt like life is happening outside of me. I look at it from outside of the window, and I wanted to change that. And I did change that. And now, I get to live my life the way I wanted to. I was single for probably 10 years. Now I'm married. I have a daughter. I work by myself. I work from wherever I want. Last year, I was in Madrid for a year. And we'll see where the future will bring us. But it doesn't matter what I did. It's about finding what works for you. And for INFJs, there are particular rules because the way our mind works, things are just different. And you can ask your questions, of course. That's what this session is about. And what I will do now is I will go through the different pillars. I will give you first an overview of each one, and then we can go into detail on the single ones. The bootcamp, as I said, is like we have 6 live calls that are like this, but we go way more in detail, right? We go way more in detail because each of the sessions we focus on a pillar. Then we have assignments. I'm not going to ask you to fulfill them, but the assignments are for you to know, okay, am I making progress or not? And then there's, of course, material that you can learn. So videos I recorded on each of those topics. So we go into detail. By the way, I re-recorded them. Hi, Melinda. I re-recorded them this year. So it's all brand new material. It's updated material from everything that I've learned also through the last year of bootcamp. So I'm really excited. So now let's start with physical energy management. So physical energy management is the first pillar. And particularly for us INFJs, this is so important because if you want to step out of the matrix, let's call it the matrix, or if you want to step out of this default state where you feel like life is happening outside of you, you're not creating on your terms, something is missing. Hi, Dorota. Yeah, it's brand new. You feel like something is missing. We don't want that, right? We want to feel like we're in control. And I always felt as an INFJ, I just have to live with that. That's just how life is for me. And when I first started, the entire community was so based on this poor me mentality, victim mentality, martyr mentality. And I knew I had to change something for myself first. I knew something like drastically has to change because I was just in a big black hole. And the one thing that made a huge difference that so many INFJs underestimate is the physical energy management pillar. Because in order to step out of this default state, we do need extra energy. We do need a lot of energy in the beginning because it's like a dynamo, right? You first start the process, and then the more you go with it, the easier it gets. Like it starts going like this and it becomes like a flow. But in the beginning, you need to be aware of that we need that extra energy because we have to invest in ourselves, not like so much. Like I always say, it's not that we have to work like, let's say somebody with extroverted sensing, we don't have to push ourselves to the limit, but we have to put that energy in particular places. And we definitely need more energy because most of us use all their energy just to survive. So in order to change that, to get to a place where things are going easy and it's flow and you're in control of creating that life for yourself, it's going to take some more energy in the beginning. And so we work on improving our sleep. We work on meditation, visualization. We talk about decluttering. See, it's important, and this is what I want to emphasize here because, as you know, we can't go into detail, but that doesn't mean that we can't learn from it here and now. So physical energy management for INFJ means improve your energy level as much as possible because it is in a lot of ways changing our mindset, but it's also putting action in place. We don't need to do 1,000 things. We need to do a couple of things, but the right things, and they will catapult us to the next level. So this is like something I can only emphasize more and more. I used to be somebody who did the bare minimum. I used to be somebody who appreciated that I was, a contemplative type, that I was more of a couch potato than anything else. Now I know, no, I need to optimize my energy. Because we will talk about the other pillars. If you say, okay, I want to change something, and changing that dynamic, you will need that energy. And better sleep, exercise, nutrition, decluttering, mindset work, all of this improves your energy, and you definitely need that. And the way you can do this and make sure that you stick with it is that you say, for example, well, I'm not improving my sleep for the sleep's sake. I'm improving it in order to have more energy so I can create my INFJ epic life. So I can go into my vocation, for example. So I can make sure that I have the relationships that I want. For example, I remember when I was in this black hole, I had barely any energy to do anything outside of the norm. So setting up a meeting with a lunch meeting with a friend on a Saturday was hard work for me. And I know how it is for INFJs. This is not just me. Just getting up and saying, okay, I'm going to do something that is not the bare minimum of, okay, I have to show up at work on Monday. But, deciding to do things in order to have a more exciting life, it takes energy on you when your life has been built up in a way where it just drains you. Our goal is to create a life that re-energizes us, which fills up our cup more and more. And so we first off get excited. We have everything we want and it feels easy. We're not about quick wins that never that go away. Some people say, okay, I'm going to start working out every day, 5 days a week. It's not going to, this isn't going to make the difference. We want a lifestyle change. And for us INFJs, it is about taking small, consistent steps that are in alignment with our vision. We're INFJs, so we have to have a vision of where do we want to go. And if we don't know exactly where it is, we need to know what the next step is. How do we see our life? And physical energy management is not something that will inspire most INFJs to do just for the sake of it. Yeah, I want to be somebody who's healthy. I get that. But the thing that motivates most of us is that we know I'm doing this so I have the energy to go for my dream, right? That's going to make us stick with this and create amazing habits. Okay, let me just see if you have any questions on this one. So Bob asked, what is the meaning of actively working on INFJ life? Does it when your mind thinking too much about others pull back your thoughts? Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by this, but I can tell you this. The INFJ epic life that the 5 pillars are based on, that the bootcamp is based on, and where we see all of the results, they're based on us getting to a point where we feel like, I love getting up in the morning. That's my goal. I'm excited about my life. I can't wait for the next thing. I'm eager to go on. And that means something different for everybody. Our goal is to remove all of those mental blocks that keep us at a place where we don't know what the next step is, where we feel like life is happening outside of us. We don't have any control. We've just accepted the fact that life just isn't fun for us. It might look fun for others, but that's not how it's going to be for us. And that's how I felt. And I felt this is something I have to accept. And now I know better. And if I didn't feel like this, I wouldn't have, I've been doing this. This is like my 8th year. So I'm 100% convinced of it. And I wouldn't be doing this if it only worked for me, right? Because I see, I see all the results we have as INFJs and why the participants keep coming back, why I have coaching clients who also do boot camp. A lot of you purchased the master class that we have discontinued. So now we can improve the boot camp and really focus on that, because that's when you get the biggest results. Okay. Okay. What do we have? So Leo says, does it mean that you have to exercise and go to the gym? No, it doesn't. Like, this is just one way that you can improve your energy. We have different lessons in the physical energy management pillar, and you don't have to do all of them. But what we want to achieve is to say, what of these activities, and these activities include, working on your sleep, so sleeping better. It does include exercise if this is what you want to do. It does include meditation. So removing also blocks, being aware of what you want to go, because so much of our energy is being drained by thoughts that are not going in the direction that we want. And so mindset work in this particular area is also helping us to have more energy to go for the things and create that life that we want. So exercise works if you are doing it in a way that improves your energy. It improves my energy, but you don't have to do all of them. I actually encourage you, and you'll see this if you're in the boot camp, to start with like 2 points, because if you take on everything, it just it would overwhelm you. We don't want to overwhelm our system. So at the first thing where things get complicated or where your life is not in order, you fall back into old patterns. We want to create a new normal, right? And whatever helps you to improve your energy. And we will talk how to, in the bootcamp, we talk more in detail how to incorporate this into your life. Sleep is, for example, a great thing that we talk about over and over again, because so many people have problems with this, specifically INFJs, that we say, if you go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning every day and you wake up at 6, of course, you're not going to have the energy to do something outside of the bare minimum in order to change that life of yours, in order to live a life that feels more exciting to you, where you feel like you're in control and you want to grow because you're in the right area. So many of us have this urge, we have this fire inside of us, but it feels like there's nowhere to apply it to, right? So we're going to figure out through the different pillars what those areas are, because what I have found works really well for INFJs is, if we don't know where to go exactly, if we make improvements in all of those 5 pillars, starting with having more energy and then putting it into relationships, into our wealth management, into our vocation, so our purpose, our passion in life, and we prioritize the things right, with every single step of growth, you have a bigger insight of what the next thing is going to be that excites you even more. So our vision gets better. And so with every step, you grow, because there is a place where you can put that fire to. And that fire makes, that fire helps us to burn even brighter and brighter. And so it's a continuous flow that really gets exciting. So, but anyways, if you go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the goal is at some point to go to bed at 10, the last thing you will hear us talk about is to say, okay, now you start going to bed at 10. Even if you could maintain it for a while, this is willpower. And willpower never lasts, specifically for us INFJs. What we will do, though, is to say, okay, let's start with going to bed at 1:30. And then, I always hear this people say, but I feel like such a loser if I start with 1:30. Like that's like such a small improvement. That's not going to change my life. But it's not about this half hour. It's about learning that you can change your behavior, that you can change your new normal. Because before you know it, 1:30 becomes your new normal and you don't see any problems with it. It doesn't bother you. It's perfectly in alignment. And then when you recognize that this works, not only are you that much easier and faster going to get it to 10 o'clock without putting any real hard effort behind it, but you're also going to learn that this same mindset shift works for creating your passion in life. So if you wanted to be a writer, putting the time into it and making it happen, because we all know most of the time what it takes. We're just not doing it, right? So in a lot of ways, yes, the physical energy management pillar helps us to have more energy to go for those things, but it also helps us to recognize I am in control of my thoughts. I am in control of making myself do things and not do them out of, oh, this is so hard. If it would be so hard and uncomfortable, all of it, why do it? We're not doing it for some end result in 5 years that may feel better. The moment you start this process, you're supposed to feel like, now, like this already makes me excited. That's why so many INFJs like come back to the boot camp, because it feels exciting doing it. Although you're not exactly like the end vision. And there's never this end thing that you are reaching, because our goals and our visions continuously grow. It's not like I'm sitting here and life is happening outside of me. And and before you know it, as I said, we've created this new normal for us that is 10 o'clock, or that is sleeping through the night, and like it all feels easy, and like we're the director of our own movie and creating our INFJ epic life. Okay, let me see if you have any more questions to this before we move on. Okay, Anna says the physical pillar is spot on for me. Have been working on getting enough sleep, but it's really hard to get to bed on time. Yes, Anna, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's not put that pressure on us to, I should be going to bed at 10. Like, be honest with yourself where you're at right now. And if it's 2 o'clock, be honest with yourself. Don't like tell yourself the lie that it's normally like midnight. Like, really track where you're at. What is really the time you go to bed? And then slowly, really, really slowly take it on. Because then you're going to be honest with yourself about where you're at. You're not judging yourself for it. And you create a new normal without it requiring any willpower whatsoever. Okay. Okay, Trevor says, I've personally found out that when I work out and I listen to rap music because it helps me develop my extroverted sensing and feel alive, action-oriented, and I I can fight and advocate for me. Yes. Trevor says, how might meditating help an INFJ be more action-oriented? This is a really great question, and I really want to go into this because I think there are a lot of INFJs who have questions about this. Okay, so meditation in its basis is based on you controlling where your thoughts are going. So if you really, advance in meditation, you do it that you just sit down and you meditate. I, to this day, like without any help, without any guided meditation, without any music or anything like this. I'm not doing this. I've never liked this. I could have done it, but I always like guided meditation. But let's say the advanced thing is that you're able to sit down and that your thoughts are not just wandering off to something that you don't want them to go. And it's a practice. Like when you do guided meditation, which is like really beginner friendly, for example. And let's say you are focusing on a vision of what you want. Let's say you've never meditated before. You will see you sit down and it won't take 5 seconds before your thoughts go, oh, what did Jack say the other day that was so rude? What do I have to do later on in the day? Oh, I'm so afraid of that, that conversation I have to have with my boss. So your thoughts are wandering off without you consciously wanting them to. That's how our mind works. And if we practice meditation, what we learn is how our thoughts are not doing this anymore. Because as I said, after this happens for 5 seconds, after 5 seconds, you think this. At some point, you catch yourself, and then you go back to what you want to think about, which is, I envision the life I want. This is the thing I hold on to. Okay. And if you continuously go back, you don't judge yourself, that you fall off the wagon, that your thoughts go into worry thoughts again, you will learn to abrupt those unnecessary thoughts that are making you focus on what you do not want, and they make you focus on what you do want. And if in your mind, your vision of what you want has become so clear because you've been able to remove everything else, then we take action. Why do we take action? Actually, because we're INFJs. Because we live so much in our vision that we can't really distinguish between what is a vision and what is reality. So this can be a bad thing in a lot of ways. In this particular one, it's the best thing ever. Because if your mind recognizes and entire time thinks about, you're already living this, this life of yours, because it already feels exciting. And that's how I started feeling once I started working towards what I wanted. It feels like, okay, I'm already there. So you automatically are taking steps. It doesn't feel like you have to put so much work behind it. It's just a natural thing. You don't question it. It pulls you towards it. And that's why you get action oriented. So you might think, yes, extroverted sensing, like exercise, gives us physical energy, totally, and gets us, gets us moving forward. Meditation helps us to remove all of those things that are draining our energy, right? So it removes all the other things that keep us pulling down, that keep us putting the energy that we do have just to barely survive. Right? We don't want that anymore. We want to use that energy to thrive. And that's what meditation and visualization and mindset work does for you. And the boot camp, of course, falls into this category, on a big scale altogether, because there we learn how to focus on the things we do want, and they become more clear to us. Because let's be honest, most of us are not even aware of exactly what we want. And through the steps that we take, they do get easier and they do get better. Okay, what does it look like to do one thing? I want to work on my vocation, but there's my day job, cleaning, etc. Yes, that's why we need the extra energy, because we need to commit to say, okay, I'm going to use Saturday mornings for my, what I want. When I was working, 45 hours a week, I was a consultant. I was in a top tier consulting agency in banking in Europe. So I was gone Monday to Friday. I flew somewhere on Monday, came back on Friday. I was in hotels. I was working all week. And through, let's say the physical energy management pillar and other things, I gathered the energy that I said, Sunday mornings, I will always work on my vocation, which was creating videos and making all of this happen. And the thing is this, nobody's going to be there and say, have you done your work on your vocation? Nobody's going to care. You will show up on Monday morning when you have to work, but you will not necessarily do the things that are important but not urgent, which is to work on your vocation. And the more energy you have, first off, you're going to be much more likely to do it. And then at the same time, the vocation in itself will also re-energize you to want to do more. Okay, guys, I see we have a lot of questions, and but I'm going to continue. Jared says, so meditation helps you get rid of excess information to make you conserve energy. Yes, thank you. Exactly. Okay, let's just move on to the next pillar. So this is what physical energy management is about. Relationship management. All of us, not just INFJs, we are always, what's the word? The relationships in our life mirror back to us where we want to be. And we all heard this thing, the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most, they are going to determine how you feel about yourself and where you're going. But in nowadays, specifically for us INFJs, this doesn't have to be the case, because in my real life, so to say, I didn't have anybody who was interested in what I wanted to do, and I haven't stopped seeing my childhood friends that I love so dearly. But I have added, first off, this community. I have I'm getting mentorship, so I'm putting myself in situations with new relationships that anchor in where I want to be. But it's not just about creating new relationships, it's also about changing dynamics in the existing relationships that make you move forward. So we talk about, for example, work relationships, that very often we say, okay, I just want my colleagues to respect me, or I want them to leave me alone, or anything like this. And we learn it's not about this. If you have a job, we don't want that job to drain your energy. Yes, you can take everything out of that job probably, but we can optimize it. And so it's about finding bosses and superiors who want to see us win with our gifts. So I can give you a really good example for this. I was in a field where it was all about hard logic. It was about Excel sheets. It was about, like, I'm a finance major, so I have my master's in finance. So I've done this all my life, but my biggest strength is human relationships. And I was at such a high top tier that, like in the industry, that like the people that I worked with, they were like so much better at this than I was, but they lacked what I could do. And that is to have clients, want to work with us because they like us, because they trust me, because they know that I have their best interests at heart and I can convince them of that. So if I would have approached this and said, okay, this is all about hard logic and the people around me are so much better at this, and I need to just work at it and pretend that like this is what I'm good at, and like we're completely forgetting what our thing is. But if you start valuing what you can offer, then you won't care that you're maybe in other areas not that good. Because in the end, I was making a career faster than others. I was on a fast track to become manager. I was making, like, I had a bigger salary than most of my colleagues at that stage, because I knew that my biggest strength were my personal gifts. It wasn't, all the other things. And I wanted and demanded to work with people, like people on my level, people that were like that I was leading, and people who were above me, like my superiors, who wanted to see me win through my gifts. And what we learn is to live out those gifts more, to find the courage to live them out, and to be like more open with, this is who I am. I'm not going to pretend I'm like this and this because I think this is what people want to see. I'm going to value my gift and see how this will bring benefit to somebody else. Like, those are the kind of things that will anchor in more of who you want to be. Because once you've created the circumstance where you have, let's say, a superior who sees your gifts and wants to encourage that, that will anchor in that you live out that part of you more and more, and through that you allow it to grow. The negative example of this would be, I don't want to show that because I don't think that this is something valuable. The valuable thing is, the accounting work. Like, this is where I'm okay at. Like, I'm not that detail oriented, and I have to like pretend like I'm good at this and try to get better at this. You're surrounding yourself with people who value this more, so you get mirrored back that the thing that you actually don't like, that you're actually not that good at, is the most important thing. We don't want that. We want to be surrounded by people who encourage us to grow in the areas we want. And the dynamics with the people in our life should be that way as well. So it can be that you have friends, like I had, like one of my best friends, when I was around her, I never listened to my music because I knew that she didn't like it. And through that, I was also repressing myself. I was keeping myself small. And so many INFJs do this, and we're not even aware of that, right? So we suppress that in order to make other people comfortable so they don't have to make compromises. what we learn here is you have to, like, we learn to appreciate what we want and not even see it as, like, it's the air that we breathe. So I started focusing on, well, this is the music that energizes me, and I'm going to live with that. And maybe when we're together, we can find a compromise, but I'm not going to minimize that in order to, make our relationship work, which I thought before is the only way. But we find the strength and the courage to say, I'm going to be me. I'm going to put my energy first. And then either relationship dynamics are going to change, or we're going to move apart. And with my best friends, I do have different relationships now, but they're like 10 times more amazing because I don't have to make compromise on my on who I am. I listen to my music, I become as big as I can. I don't make any compromises in that regard. And then we meet each other at a point where we both feel comfortable, and it's going to be a new balance, a new point. And through that, there's no passive aggressive thing, because they mirror back, what you are putting out, which is your own true gifts. It anchors in to stay in that state. You are much less likely to fall back into old patterns that keep you small, that make you feel like life is happening outside of me. We change our mind this way, and we change it, for the long run. Okay, let me see if you have any questions about this. Okay, Leo says, thank you. I hear that. It helped me for my 2 interviews, and I passed them from watching your videos about it. Great. Okay, Bob says, how do you know you're absorbing others or not, and what to do if you have that feeling? So I believe we always absorb others' energy. I don't think that we really have a choice there. But if your energy becomes bigger, you're much less likely to absorb others' energy. So if you keep yourself small, I always see it like, let's say you're a vessel and you've hollowed that vessel out. And if somebody is, putting their energy out, you absorb that. If your vessel is, for example, 30% empty because you've kept yourself small, you absorb much more. If you, on the other hand, are focused on, let me live that out, let me put extroverted sensing behind it, let me put extroverted feeling behind it, meaning I fill up my own cup. I live out what I want. I do things where I think, I love what I'm doing. This is like so cool. You make less compromise and you grow. You just like take up so much space of that vessel that you're not able to absorb others. So that example with my best friend, when we were in our early 20s, I knew absolutely everything about her. I knew her biggest fears. I knew like her emotional world, and like she's an INFP. It was really interesting. And this was with like everybody. Like I was so focused on how other people were feeling. And it felt like that's the only way to live. Nowadays, I don't know what she's feeling on such a deep level. I don't know like what other people are experiencing on such a deep level. I don't feel that. And you might say, oh, but I don't want to miss that. But what have I gained from that? I feel myself much more. I know what I want. I get excited about that. And the truth is that in most cases, the relationships that we have where we absorb so much, or that we have where we're in this default state where we haven't started growing yet, these are unhealthy relationships. It's not healthy to be in like this codependent thing where you're all focused about how others are feeling. But it feels like that's just our only choice, because others' emotions, others' reactions are so evident. We feel them so deeply, but we feel them so deeply because we haven't put energy into growing ourselves. It's like if you have somebody who has like an energy of this level and they put it towards you, or even not, if you're at this level, you're going to absorb so much of it. If you grow on yourself, you're like that big, that energy can't really get into your field so much. And you're so much more, headstrong about, this is where I'm going. And then you create relationships that push that forward. And it gets easier with every single time. You're not being persuaded into other directions, and it all happens naturally. And it feels like the most authentic thing ever. Like you don't feel like I'm being selfish or I don't care about others, because you do. But yeah, but it's like you can actually give so much more to others if you're, if you have so much more to give. If you're not just living on, I'm keeping this fire like slowly burning. But if you say, I'm going to invest that energy, my cup of energy is overflowing, and then I can always give without expecting anything back, because I haven't hollowed myself out for anybody else. And then there's like this passive aggressive feeling about, why am I not getting anything back? And at the same time, like your cup is overflowing, your energy is overflowing, and then you automatically create new dynamics with people, like even with the people in your life, where everybody's benefiting from it. Okay. Ashish says cleaning old bad friendships is a must, and making new friends, having good habits, discipline from which we can learn. We all know that, but the truth is, how do we do that, right? That's the INFJ thing, because I think most of us know that this is important, but how do we create that? And so, as I said, if you grow and work on your vocation, you work on your energy management, it also helps you with this relationship pillar. Like, define what you want in friendships. Don't look at your friends are not people that you mentor or that you want to see, like, that you help. If you want to help people, and so many of us want to, let's do that in an environment where this is like clear cut, where boundaries are really good at, like, the way I work here. Like I help like my clients and you guys so much more than I help my friends now, because you cannot really do this without getting, some boundaries mismatched. And one of the things is to say, my friends, like, we are supposed to be on eye level. And if they can give to me as much as I give to them, let's pull back a little bit. Let's use that excess energy that I have to grow and see how, how we can value our relationships, even if it's not as intense as it used to, because now we're using that intensity that before we put into this relationship, now we use that to grow ourselves. Okay. Do it on your terms. Okay. Okay, guys. So, please excuse me that I can't read everything. It's just not possible in that time. So the third pillar is wealth management. And we INFJs very often don't want to talk about this. It feels like dirty. It feels like it goes against our integrity. All we want to do is help people. We want to stay true to ourselves. So we're not going to care about, like, making money in order to impress people that we don't like. And so it becomes like this whole dynamic. But now that I've been in this business for so long, I see so many people who have used creating money and having money as something positive. It isn't something, evil. It isn't like I'm buying things in order to impress people, or I'm using it for bad. Like, you can do that, but you can also use the money to say, I'm creating freedom for myself. I'm creating, I'm creating a life where I can give, with money that you make. You can do philanthropic things, or because I have enough money, to because this business is working, I have the time. I don't have to work for somebody else. I have the time to serve you and give back. Like, I have over 500, 600 videos, I think. I don't know. And this is just free help. And wealth made that happen. So, it's important for us to understand that wealth is not something negative. And we can get to a point where we first off talk about it as easily as saying, pass the salt. Because money isn't anything evil. And we don't have to make compromises on our integrity. There's also not the thing that you say, the only way for me to make money is to do some things, like things that I don't like, or things that are not in alignment with who I want to be. Let's say you want to be an artist, and then you say, okay, I'm either going to be the starving artist, or I'm going to be the accountant who just doesn't enjoy what they're doing. And that's just not the case. we learn how to be successful as an artist. We learn how to do things that, you know, create wealth for ourselves on our terms. And when it comes to vocation, like, making money as an artist, I also make it a point that we understand that making money in itself is already amazing, and it helps us to fuel our vocation, right? It just, as I said, it allows us to invest in ourselves, to do courses, to get people involved in our vocation. And so very often people ask me, well, right now I could either get a job that pays me better, or I could go for my dream. And what I always say is do both, and you don't have to start with both being the same thing. So because if you say, I'm going to start my vocation, you're probably not going to make enough money with it to support yourself right away. And if you also say, this is where I depend on, like, creating my wealth with in the beginning, you're putting all that pressure on you that might take away from loving the vocation in the beginning. So I always say, get the better paying job so you have the security, so you have like a better life, so you feel like what it feels to feel secure, that you say, I do have money in the bank, that you feel like I have the apartment that I want, I get to travel. And because I have that security of, I have created already this like good life on that regard, I'm going to start building on my vocation. And then at some point you can make the switch like I did and say, now let's focus on this completely. Because if you're not able to maintain this whole thing, because you love your vocation, because you want this to grow, and you're not doing this so it makes money, like that's not the main reason why you're doing it. It gives you like such a feeling of fulfillment you can't even imagine. When I started this channel, there was no plan on making this a business. I thought maybe like in 10, 15 years, I could maybe live from it. And the thing is, after like, I think 4 or 5 years, I quit my job altogether. But it all happened because at the same time, I also said, okay, I'm going to go for the next bigger thing. I'm going to start creating like more wealth for myself, which then I used to grow this business. It made me also want to create wealth, like to learn that our gifts are worthy. And in order to do that, we have to get a better relationship with wealth altogether. So, like, if I can give you one advice right now, it's first off, stop telling yourself that you have to make compromises. You don't. Just because you go for a better paying job, it's not that you say, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. See it as a stepping stone to creating the life that you want, because it does improve your situation. It might not be the end result, but it's better than what you currently are doing. If that doesn't mean that you have to do things that you completely detest. It's a stepping stone. Yes, it will be harder in the beginning because you surround yourself with people on higher energy, but that in itself pushes you to create more energy for yourself as well, which you can then use to build your vocation. So the one thing is start loving making money. And the second thing is to start tracking, to set goals and to start tracking. So goals on being debt-free, goals on savings, goals on income. And you will see how when you start tracking all of that, first off, how much abundance you already have. And you're automatically looking for the thing that's going to give you more of it. Because in the end, it's not harder. Like, you see people who struggle, who work so much, and they're barely making ends meet. And then there are ways you can create wealth so easily, and I trust me when I say it doesn't have to be either something completely against your moral values, or you give up who you want to be. There's always a middle ground, and we can use that as a stepping stone. And I always encourage you to take that on, because it's energy. Money is energy. Wealth is energy. Feeling secure is energy. And that energy will help you to have the strength and the motivation to create your vocation. Okay, Ellen says massive success is the best revenge. Yes, and success is so uniquely you. like when I think back of the colleagues that I left, and like, I don't know, a lot of you know probably McKinsey. I wasn't working at McKinsey, but I was working as at like something at that level. But it was a niche consulting agency because we were only doing banking. But in banking, we're like on one level with McKinsey. And so for a lot of people, that's like the best thing I could ever imagine. And when I quit that job, I'm sure my colleagues didn't think, oh, she's so amazing. She's so brave. She does her own thing. I'm sure a lot of people thought, she just can't handle it. She isn't strong enough. And people can think that. Like your idea of success might not look like, you know, what average success looks like. If you want to be a shepherd working somewhere in the, you know, in the banking world and having like, you know, no plan or no actions that guide you towards that life that you want to live as a shepherd, then that's not success. It might look like success from the outside, but we want the INFJ epic life on your terms, on my terms, on your terms. And there we have to define it and we have to take steps towards that, right? In the end, like that shepherd can still create, you know, can create with what he's doing amazing wealth. Like it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm just going to watch those 3 sheep. It can be that you know, create a tutorial around it. Like there's just so many ways how you can help other people, for example, to find their passion in life and to live that out. You know, you can grow that. So this is all part of it. Okay. Okay, Aurelia says, this is the weirdest thing. It seems like you already lived my life and found a way to fix this. What do you do about the lack of TE, lack of efficiency, and extra slow thinking, apart from avoiding tasks? So this is something that we focus on the bootcamp in particular, and that is to have action plans in our schedule. So we don't have we don't have that much energy. We're not like an SE type. So we have to be very particular about what we do and how we do that. That's why we have priority management, you know, as the last pillar. That's why we learn that. And so we create action tasks in each of the pillars every single week. So what are you going to do this week to improve your wealth? Are you going to track your money? Are you going to save your money? With you know, vocation, the same thing. This week, I'm going to record 2 videos. I'm going to post 5 things on Instagram. If you want to be a writer, my goal is to write 5 pages on Saturday. And as I said, we learn to create a new normal. So if you haven't been able to create, like to write anything in the last 5 months, it's ridiculous to say, okay, now I'm going to start writing 5 pages each week. Like what we're learning here is to say, I'm sitting down on Saturday, and I'm going to sit there for 15 minutes. And no matter what, I'm going to sit there for 15 minutes. And either things come up or they don't, but I'm sitting there for 15 minutes. And then once this has become like my new normal, I don't even question it. Then we start growing. Like then we start improving it, you know, making that grow. And because we are INFJs, as I said, we have a very difficult time recognizing what is just contemplation and what is reality. That's what TE is all about, right? We need to create externally observable results. So this is what I continuously tell myself. Now it's much easier for me, but particularly in the beginning, you are not aware of, am I making improvement, like real improvements on creating that INFJ epic life? TE is your answer. And we learned that like in the bootcamp in particular, because we want externally observable results. So me contemplating what my, you know, next title of my book could be, or what my, you know, what my business could be, or I'm doing research, that's not externally observable facts. What is an externally observable fact is I do have those 5 pages written. I do have the 2 videos I have recorded and I've published them. So we continuously tell ourselves, and we make sure like there's no, like, you don't have to share it, but this is how we encourage each other, is to say, okay, what is externally observable about this? in all aspects. So in physical energy management and relationships, just thinking about things, dreaming about it doesn't make the difference. Did I meet that friend? Did I have that conversation? If you would tell it to somebody else who isn't an INFJ, could you make them see that you did this? There is this video. This video exists. This isn't something that is just going on in my mind. And unless we look at it very particular, is it an externally observable fact, yes or no? We will have a really hard time, particularly in the beginning, recognizing if we're making progress or not. And then we wonder why things aren't working out. Learning how to do things, like procrastinating, right? Or procrastinating or whatever it is. The externally observable fact, like externally observable facts, that's the key thing that will change everything. So Leo asks, can an INFJ become a highly effective CEO? Of course, but the question is where? If you are CEO in a position that you're not that interested in, and everybody around you, like, you need to be a CEO where you have to pull parts of you back and like do things you don't want to do, no, you can't be like a highly effective CEO. But if you have a business that is that is based on who you are, right, where your gifts are the main thing that keeps this thing forward, and everybody around you helps you to be that, yeah, of course you can. But that's the whole thing. It's about saying the only way this could work is if I don't neglect if I put forward who I really am. And then the wrong people will run from the hills. They will not want to work with you. And the people, like, you will automatically connect with people and, grow in a way that, that you are yourself. And companies like this do exist. Of course, there isn't going to be like this company that is perfectly suited for you. You will make it suited to you, because our dream doesn't exist outside of us. We create it. But the company can change with you, in particular when you're like in this area. So I'm not saying you can live your dream life only by, starting your own business. Okay, guys, I really want to keep this to an hour, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about the vocation part. Okay, yeah, the vocation part is that I believe we as INFJs, we need this. Very often we think we can have like this epic life without tapping into our purpose, into our passion. I thought I could do that because I didn't know what that was and I didn't know what it was for. But when I started this, it gave me a sense of meaning. It gave me a sense of fulfillment. It energized me like nothing else. It really fueled absolutely everything. And if this is like one thing that I want you to take away when it comes to vocation is, don't give up on that. It's not about, are you going to be like this super successful person in this area? You will be successful if you stick with it, with everything. Like, there's not one thing that won't work like this. Like, you become, like, what is excellence? It takes like, I think 10,000 hours or something like this. Mastery, to develop mastery in something, it takes 10,000 hours. But you're not going to do 10,000 hours in anything unless you love it. So I want you to have the sense of, I'm going to maybe give back. When I started this, as I said, I wasn't making any money of it. I was actually putting money into it. That's why I'm saying, like, wealth management can fuel your vocation, because I wanted to have it to such an extent. Like, I was working so much, I couldn't edit my videos. Like, I don't edit them now, but at some point I edit them myself before I was able to outsource that. But like, in the beginning, I didn't have the time for that. And so wealth management helped me to make that happen. And sharing my gifts, sharing your gifts will give you, thank you, love you too, will give you a sense of like fulfillment like nothing else. And don't ever give this up, and don't do this or say, oh, I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to be successful with this. It's not about that. Like, success, as again, comes if you do it. But it will be about, I will do this, although I know I will suck in the beginning, because where your vision is of who you want to be and how it will show up in the beginning, there's going to be a huge discrepancy there. And only if you say, I'm going to do it anyway because I want to be a person. Okay, Leo, I'll read this. Thank you so much. So the only way you can, really get to this point and get better is to say, I love the process. I want to be somebody who puts their energy into becoming that person. I want to be somebody who acts in a way where I bring out my gifts, where I share my gifts with the world, and let that grow. If it brings money or not, if this is something where you feel like, oh, people will see that I'm weird or it won't be perfect, doesn't matter. Like when I started doing this, people thought I was weird. People saw me with totally new eyes, and it was hard, but it was the best decision of my life. Okay, let me just read what's. Okay, Leo says, the golden rule is to manage your energy, electromagnetic at the source, so to speak, and so to reach your dream reality, you need a mindset shift to literally turn into that reality. Yes, this is how we work. All of this makes the whole package. And the last pillar, and I mean, we've talked about it indirectly anyways, is priority management, to focus on the things that do make a difference in our life, to say, okay, I just have a finite amount of energy, so I will put in that energy into the things that do make a difference in my life. A great example, just as a last note, is it's Saturday and you need to do laundry. Laundry is important. Laundry is urgent but not important. Working on your book when you want to be a writer is important but not urgent. Nobody's gonna tell you anything. Nobody's gonna care. But if you show up on Monday with stains on your shirt, yes, people will care. And we have those situations all the time of those two extremes. And what we learn is to first always do the things that are important and not urgent, because we're gonna do the urgent thing anyways. If you work on your book, even if it's 6 o'clock in the evening, you're going to turn on the laundry. But if you start doing laundry in the morning, it's going to be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you say, yeah, I don't really need to work on my book now. I can do this next week. And this is a really, blunt example, but it works with everything. And so we learn in priority management, focus on becoming, not having that goal, but becoming that person who does these things. That changes a lot of things, to prioritize the things that are important over things that are urgent, that we don't need willpower. What we need is to create a new normal. And I mean, if you haven't done so far, you can download the poster where all of these things are written down. I think the link is in the description as well. Let me give you just a couple of last words for the bootcamp. So everybody who signed up now during the workshop, and I'll give you 20 more minutes. So everybody who signs up to the bootcamp in the next 20 minutes, and everybody who signed up so far, I will draw somebody that I will have a one-on-one coaching session with. So you have one more incentive to do, to join now. Our first call starts next week, same time. You have an early bird price that is valid for 48 more hours. It's I think 17% off, so it's a little bit over $100 if you buy all at once. And I also have a payment plan of 3 months. This is the first time we're offering this, and there you can apply the same code. So the link to the code and to get you get part of the newsletter, and then you get the code, is down below. Or if you're already part of the newsletter, you have received the code so far. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to write me and my team at info@wenzes.com. So me or Vanetta will write you back, probably her, in the next 2 days. I think right now, I don't know if I'll have capacity, but if it's content related questions about the bootcamp, I can help you out there. So thank you very much for tuning in. I wish you a great weekend. Enjoy the videos. And for the ones of you who have decided, now is your time to really start creating that INFJ epic life, and you're ready to invest in yourself and create something new. And it's time, in order, if you want to create something new, you got to do something you've never done before. So take the chance now. I'm 100% recommending it. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't see all the results we're creating. And this is something that's going to continue in the future. So it's not just something for 6 weeks and it's done. It's like the entire year. We have a Facebook group, which is definitely way more active during the bootcamp rounds, but it exists all year round. And the more people we get in there, the more we encourage each other. What are you doing this week on the physical energy management pillar? What are you doing in the relationship management pillar? And to create that INFJ epic life. Okay, guys, I wish you a great day, and I talk to you next time. Bye.